So good day to each and every one of us. My name is Lee Artones de Guzman.
And I am Bainashinem Gyali.
So we are here in front of you guys to tackle about
Where did the first Catholic Mass take place in the Philippines?
so the popularity of where the first happened in history has been an easy way to trivialize history. But in this case, we will not focus on the significance of the site in the first mass here in the Philippines, but rather use it as an historiographical exercise of the utilization of events and interpretation the reading of historical
So
events.
for the longest time, everyone believed that Butuan cited to be the place where the first Catholic Mass was celebrated. So matagal na pinagdedebatehan ng mga historian kung saan talaga unang naganap ang misa dito sa Pilipinas.
In fact, this case has been in a three-century-old, culminating the erection of the monument in 1872 near Agusan del Sur, near Agusan River, which commemorates the expedition's arrival and the celebration of the Mass on April 8, 1521.
And Butuan claim has been based on the rather elementary reading of primary sources from the event. So, saan ba talaga naganap ang unang misa dito sa Pilipinas?
Okay, sige. Bago natin sasagutin yung tanong na yan, or bago
Yes.
namin i-discuss ang tanungan or katanungan na yan, take note of this first. But before we discuss about kung saan talaga naganap ang first mass dito sa Pilipinas, we must note that there are only two primary sources identifying the site of the first mass in the Philippines, which is
So, the first one is the log of Francisco Albo, and the second one was the completed one, which is the account of Antonio Pigafetta. So,
bago namin talaga i-discuss sa inyo lahat niyan, before that, we must tackle first the primary sources or the first primary sources of this topic, which my partner will
Good
discuss.
day everyone. Now let me discuss to you about the primary sources, which is the Albo Slug. But before I discuss about Albo Slug, let me introduce first who is Francisco Albo. Francisco Albo joined the Magellan's expedition as a pilot in Magellan's flagship Trinidad. So isa siya dun sa 18 survivors na nakabalik kay Sebastian Elcano sa Victoria. So yung 18 survivors na yon, sila yung mga kasama ni Magellan na tumakas nung makita nilang sugatan na si Magellan habang nakikipaglaban sa mga tauhan ni Lapu-Lapu. So after having circumnavigated the war, nagsimulang magsulat ng sarili niyang diary si Francisco Albo habang sila ay naglalayag. So let's proceed to Albo Slug. On March 16, 1521, as they sailed in a westerly course from Nandroons, may nakita silang land patungong northwest. So they asked each other kung may nakakaalam ba ng name nung island na yun. Pero hindi sila tumuloy nung makita nilang maraming shallow places doon. And they just found out later that the name of that island is Yunagan. So instead of going northwest, they went to southwards instead. Patungo sa rutang yun, that route leads them to a small island called Suluan. Doon may nakita silang canoes, pero yung canoes, pero umalis din yung canoes nung makita nilang papalapit na yung mga Spaniards, which is sina Magellan. That island was at 9 and 2/3 degrees north latitude. So departing from those two islands, they sailed westwards sa isang uninhabited island of Gada. So they anchored, dumaong sila doon para kumuha ng supply ng woods and water. So unlike sa Yunagan, the island of Gada is free from shallows. And Albo does not give the latitude of that island, but according to to Pigafetta's account, it seems to be the Aquada or Hamunhon at 10 degrees north latitude. So after they completed their needs, they sailed again towards the large island named Ceylani or Ceylon. Ceylani is an island of Leyte. And that island is inhabited. So it means yung island of Ceylani, yung Ceylani is may mga nakatira doon. So and kilala din yung lugar, yung island na yun na maraming ginto or gold. Sailing southwards along the coast of that large island of Ceylani, lumiki sila patimog kanluran, southwest, sa isang maliit na isla na tinatawag na Mazava. Ang islang yon is kagaya din siya ng Yunagan, nasa latitude na of 9 and 2/3 degrees north latitude. Then sabi nila ang mga tao daw sa lugar na yun is mababait daw. So kaya doon sila and they planted a cross upon a mountain top. And there they were shown 3 islands and the 3 islands to the west and southwest, where they were told that there was much gold. As they showed us how the gold was much gathered, which came in small pieces like peas and lentils. So from Mazava, they sailed northwards Ceylani. They followed. Sinundan nila yung baybayin ng Ceylani. Sinundan nila yung baybayin ng Ceylani sa isang direction, which is sa Hilagang Kanluran. So ascending them to 10 degrees of latitude where they saw 3 islands. So from there, they sailed westwards, some 10 leagues, at doon nakita nila ang tatlong isla kung saan sila nagpalipas ng gabi. And then pagka-umagahan, they sailed southwest some 12 leagues down to a latitude of 10 and 1/3 degrees. At doon pumasok sila sa isang channel, kanal siya sa pagitan ng dalawang island, which is the Matan and Subu. They sailed down the channel and then turned westward and anchored at the town of Subu, kung saan sila nagstay ng ilang araw, and obtain provision para makipagkaibigan sa hari ng lugar na yun. So according to Pigafetta's account, in-entertain naman sila nung king, and the king even offered to give Magellan a bar of gold and a chest of ginger, but Magellan declined. The town of Subu was on an east-west direction with the islands of Suluan and Mazava. But between Mazava and Subu, they were so many shallows that the boats could not go westwards directly, but has to go, na ginawa naman nila, in a roundabout way. So it must be noted that in Albo's account, yung location ng Mazava is fit siya sa location ng Limasawa at the southern tip of Leyte. And also hindi nabanggit ni Albo yung tungkol sa first month. Ang nabanggit niya lang doon is about sa pagplant ng cross sa tuktok ng mountain, kung saan makikita yung tatlong isla sa west and southwest, which also fits the southern of Limasawa.
Let us now proceed to the second primary source, which is primary source Pigafetta's testimony on the route of Magellan's expedition.
But before we explore more about our topic, let us first introduce you who is Antonio Pigafetta. Antonio Pigafetta was a Venetian scholar explorer. He joined the expedition to the Spice Island led by explorer Ferdinand Magellan. Under the flag of King Charles I of Spain, and after Magellan's death in the Philippines, the subsequent voyage around the world.
During the expedition, he served as Magellan's assistant and kept an inaccurate journal which later assisted him in the translating the Cebuano language.
Noong March 16, 1521, day of Saturday, nung dumating si Magellan sa Pilipinas, which located in Zamal Island. Zamal Island is 300 miles away from westward of Landrones. Ang Landrones ay ang tinatawag natin ngayong Marianas Island.
Ang Marianas ay ang unang isla na nadaanan nila Magellan bago sila nakarating sa Pilipinas. At dahil doon ay nakahanap sila ng pagkain, pero dahil sa scurvy nga ito ay maraming ding nasugatan sa kanila at maraming ding namatay sa kanila.
The following day, March 17, day of Sunday, after sighting Zamal Island, they landed on another island which was uninhabited and which lay to the right side above mentioned island of Zamal. Lumipat sila Magellan sa right side ng Zamal Island
Para magpahinga doon kasi nga tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, maraming nasugatan sa kanila at namatay kaya kailangan nila magpahinga at pagalingin yung mga may sugat sa kanila.
and that island was called Humuno or Humonhon. This island was located at 10 degrees north latitude. At sa island ng Humonhon, merong nakita si Magellan at ang mga kasama niya na 2 springs of water. At meron ding mga indications about that area na meron daw mga gold doon. And that's why Magellan named that 2 spring of water Aqua de la Divoni Segnali, which mean watering place of good omen.
On Friday, March 22, dumating na yung mga natives or yung 9 men na kinausap ni Magellan about dun sa food supplies. Ngayon, meron na silang 2 boats na naglalaman ng mga supply na hinihingi ni Magellan. On that same day, pinangalanan ni Magellan ang buong archipelago ng Islands of St. Lazarus.
The reason why pinangalanan siya ni Magellan na Islands of St. Lazarus because that day, they gathered a mass at ang ginamit nilang gospel ay ang 11th chapter of St. John, which is ang ibig sabihin ay the raise of Lazarus from the dead. Kaya pinangalanan nila yung island ng Islands of the St. Lazarus because dun sa gospel na ginamit nila. On the next day, March 18, Monday in the afternoon of their second day on that island, meron silang nakitang boat sa sea na papalapit towards them. Ang boat na yon ay naglalaman ng 9 men. At ang mga taong yon ay ang mga lakad.
At nag-exchange sila ng gifts, pero si Magellan ang hiningi niya ay mga foods at nag-promise naman yung mga ngalakal na nagdadala sila ng pagkain after 4 days.
At sa island ng Humonhon, merong nakita si Magellan at ang mga kasama niya na 2 springs of water. At meron ding mga indications about that area na meron daw mga gold doon. And that's why Magellan named that 2 spring of water Aqua de la Divoni Segnali, which mean watering place of good omen.
On Friday, March 22, dumating na yung mga natives or yung 9 men na kinausap ni Magellan about dun sa food supplies. Ngayon, meron na silang 2 boats na naglalaman ng mga supply na hinihingi ni Magellan.
Magellan's expedition stayed 8 days at Humonhon, from Sunday, March 17 to Monday of the following week, March 25.
On Monday, March 22, in the afternoon, the expedition weighed anchor and left the island of Humonhon. Ito po yung last na araw nila Magellan sa Humonhon bago sila naglayag ulit.
In the ecclesiastical calendar, this day, March 25,
But there was an accident. Pigafetta fell into the water but was rescued. He attributed his narrow escape from death as a grace obtained through the intercession of the Blessed Virgin Mary, on her feast day. The route taken by the expedition after leaving Homonhon was toward the west-southeast between 4 islands, namely Senalo, Hunanghan, Ibuson, and Albarin. Very probably, Senalo is a misspelling in the Italian manuscript for what Pigafetta's map calls Ceylon, and Albo calls Ceylani, namely the island of Leyte. Hunanghan, a misspelling of Hunungangan, seemed to Pigafetta to be a separated island but is actually on the mainland of Leyte, the Ceylon. On the other hand, Hibuson, Pigafetta's Ibuson, is an island east of Leyte, southern tip. Thus, it is easy to see what Pigafetta meant by sailing toward the west-southwest past those islands. They left Amohan sailing westward towards Leyte, then followed the Leyte coast southward, passing between the island of Hibuson on their port side and Hunangan Bay on their
March 28, in the morning of Holy Thursday, they anchored of an island where the previous night they had seen a light or a bonfire. That island lies in the latitude of 9 2/3 towards the Arctic Pole North, and in a longitude of 162 degrees from the line of demarcation. It is 25 leagues from the Aquanda and it called Mazauna.
They remained 7 days on Mazawa Island.
On Thursday, April 4, they left Mazauna bound for Cebu. They were guided thither by the king of Mazauna, who sailed in his own boat. Their route took them past 5 islands, namely Ceylon, Bohol, Caninghan, Baybay, and Gatingnan.
At Gatinghan, they sailed westward to the 3 islands of Camotes group, namely Puro, Pasinghan, and Punson. Here the Spanish ships stopped to allow the king of Mazauna to catch up with them, since the Spanish ships were much faster than the native Balanghay, a thing that excited the administration of the king of Mazauna.
From the Camotes Islands, they sailed southwards Zubu.
Sunday, April 7, at noon, they entered the harbor of Zubu, which is Cebu now. It had taken them 3 days to negotiate the journey from Mazauna northwards to the Camotes Island and then southwards to Cebu. It must be pointed out that both Albo and Pigafetta's testimony coincide and corroborate each other. Pigafetta gave more details on what they did their week-long stay at Mazauna.
So hi guys, ngayon i-discuss naman natin yung pangatlong primary source. So parang story time to guys. So, day 1, March 28. Ito na yung araw na nakita nila Magellan yung isla. Nakakita sila na may isla. Then dumaong sila malapit doon pero hindi pa sila talaga nagpunta doon sa island. So meron daw nag-anchored sila near the island. Ngayon, may pumunta sa kanila ng mga natives sakay ng maliit na bangka which is called Boloto. Ngayon, si Magellan, ganito kasi yan dati. Yung mga tao kasi dati, parang stranger danger sa kanila. So, ginawa ni Magellan, binigyan niya ng mga gifts as a sign of hindi sila pumunta as kaaway. Pumunta sila as friends. Then, 2 hours later, may bumalik sa kanila na bangka. Larger boat siya actually. Ang tawag doon dati is Balanghay. Then, isa doon sa mga bangka na yun is nandoon sumakay yung hari or the native king. Ngayon, inimbitahan ni Magellan yung mga natives papunta sa kanyang ship. Kasi ship na talagang malaki yun eh. Pumunta sila sa ship nila, but the king remained on his boat. Tapos, nagkaroon ng exchange of gifts. On what purpose? For starters, gi-accept ng king yung kuan na yun, yung gift na yun as their guest. Then gi-accept naman ni Magellan, or nagbigay din naman si Magellan as yung peace offering nila, na yun nga, they didn't come as enemies but they come as friends. Kuan yun siya, March 28 yun siya. So, Sunday, which is March 29, pinapunta daw ni Magellan yung kuan niya, yung slave niya to sa ashore to interpret yung kuan para makipag-usap sa hari. Then nag-ask si Magellan sa king na kung pwede ba daw mag-provide yung king ng foods and other supplies for the expedition. Ngayon, just like I told you earlier, na Magellan didn't came as enemy, but he came as friends. Parang parang nagpakilala siya na parang hindi sila atakihin kasi ganyan man yan dati, stranger danger nga. Ngayon, in response, the king sent 6 to 8 men on Magellan's ship. In exchange, kung hiningi niya or hiniram niya ang dalawang companion ni Magellan para maging guest nila for the night, and which is isa doon si the infamous Pigafetta. So day 3, Saturday 30th of March, si Pigafetta and his companion spend the night on the king's village. So dito daw guys, si Pigafetta ay nagkaroon sila ng feast and drinking, with knowing that it is Good Friday. And for us, for Christians, Good Friday, hindi kami pwedeng kumain ng karne at mag-inom ng liquor. Pero ginawa yun nila Pigafetta. So after daw nun, the following morning, Saturday, Pigafetta and his companion left the village para pumunta sa kanilang barko or sa ship ni Magellan. So day 4, 31st of March, which is Sunday. Early Sunday, the last day of March, which is the Easter Sunday. So ito na guys yung araw na pinapunta ni Magellan yung pari niya, which is nag-help din mag-prepare for the mass, and other 50 men niya din para mag-prepare ng mass. Ngayon, nag-celebrate na sila ng mass, and may gi-honored sila na cross doon. Then at noon on the same day, 31st of March, which is Sunday, Magellan and his crew returned to his ship to have nagkamain sila ba kumbaga. Ngayon, tapos nun, pumunta sila, nasa ship na sila, then kinuha nila yung cross para itanim sa pinaka-highest hill ng Mazawa. Tapos nandoon yung dalawang king, which is the King of Mazawa and the King of Butuan. It is still Sunday, 31st of March in the afternoon. While the summit was ongoing, Magellan asked the two native kings if kung saan ba daw makakuha ng mas masagana or mas madaming food para sa harvest. Ngayon, nag-reply yung dalawang hari, which is the King of Mazawa and the King of Butuan, na meron daw 3 ports na pwede siyang pagpilian, which is the Ceylon, Zubu, and Calagan. But yung Zubu daw yung parang pinaka madaming harvest, kumbaga pa. Yun yung sabi ng isang hari. Then, ngayon, sabi ni Magellan, syempre gusto niya dun sa Zubu, kaya syempre doon man yung suggested nila na mas madami daw ma-harvest doon. And sabi niya, after daw nung summit is alis na sila kaagad. But the two kings said that they would, the pilot would be ready, kasi nag-ask kasi si Magellan na kung pwede may magsama sa kanya papunta dun sa Zubu. Kaya syempre wala pa kasing yung mga hari lang din kasi ang nakakalam kung saan yun. So yun nga, yung dalawang hari, sinabi nila na the pilot would be ready anytime But later that evening, the king of Mazawa changed his mind na siya na lang daw mismo yung sasama kay Magellan para sa harvest. Pero yung harvest daw yun, isahatiin nila para doon sa village din nung isang hari na sumama sa kanya, which is the hari of Mazawa. Tapos naghingi din sa Magellan ng other men para tumulong sa kanila sa pag-harvest ng mga supplies. So, fifth day, Monday, April 1. Sila Magellan daw, wala daw silang natapos nung araw na yun kasi nga yung mga tao talaga dati mahilig mag-inom. So, nag-inom sila. Then, yung dalawang hari is natutulog kasi masyado silang madaming ininom that day. O wala daw talagang nangyari or wala daw talagang na-harvest that day. It is the 6th day, April 1, Monday. So, yun nga, yung 5th day nila is wala nga silang nakatapos kasi nga, nag-inom sila ng napakarami. Then, yung dalawang ari is natutulog. But, in the next few days, which is April 2, Wednesday, April 3, nagkuhan sila, nag-harvest na sila. Then, marami silang nakuha ang harvest doon sa kinunan nilang isla. Thursday, April 4, which is the last day of nandun sila sa isla. They are bound for Cebu. From Mazawa, pumunta sila ng Cebu. So, using the primary source, yung priest din daw na si Miguel Bernard and his work sa Butuan and Limao sa the first site of the mass here in the Philippines. A reanimation of evidence was made in 1981, lays down the argument of Pigafetta's account, which is a crucial aspect of Butuan was not mentioned. The river Butuan is a riverine situated on Agusan River. The beach of Masao in the delta of said river. So, it is a curious omission in the account of the river which makes a distinct characteristics of Butuan's geography that seem too important to be missed. The age of exploration is a period of competition among the Europeans ruler and to conquer and colonize land outside their original domains. So, yung age of exploration daw guys is a period of yung European leaders is naghahanap ng mga land na pwede nilang makonquer outside their domains or yung mga nasa sakupan nila sa ngayon. And then, initially, the goal was only to maghanap ng spices which is their main target at that time. And to have an alternative routes for seas na gusto kasi nila pumunta dati sa Asia. Ngayon, the existing routes to Asia were mainly by land and cost very, very expensive. A sea route to Asia means that Europeans could access the spice trade directly. So, dati kasi guys, yung mag-by land daw mag-expedition is napakamahal at that time. So, pinili nilang pinili nilang sa sea magbaybay or maglakbay kasi yun nga mas less ang gagastusin nila that time. Tapos the Spain major foray into exploration was through Christopher Columbus who proposed to sail westward to find a shortcut to Asia. He was able to reach the Americas, which was then cut off from the rest of the known world at that time. So, the Spain colonized the parts of America, Mexico, South America, and 16 other countries. They were also reached the Philippines to claim for it. So, to claim for it for themselves, yung mga Spaniards dati. Then later on, the European rulers would compete with the activities of exploring and conquering the lands. So to sum it all up, dati daw yung Age of Exploration, ang kuan lang talaga daw nila, ang main purpose lang daw nila is to find spices and to reach Asia, which is that at that time rich in spices daw talaga. And ngayon, yung as I've said earlier na yung Spaniards na yung nauna, then nakisabay na lang din yung Europeans sa pag-conquest nila or maghanap ng land, i-conquer and kumuha ng mga spices.
Now, as we already discussed the primary sources, we are now going to answer the question, where did the first mass take place in the Philippines?
According to the accounts of Francisco Albo and Antonio Pigafetta, who are the eyewitness of Magellan's voyage, they both stated that the first mass took place on an island they called Mazava in Albo's account, and Mazawa in Pigafetta's account. They both asserted that from the island of Humonhon, they went westward towards the island of Leyte and turned southwest direction to reach this island. Based on the geographical location provided by Albo and Pigafetta, the island of Limasawa in southern Leyte is the counterpart.
And I would also like to point out that based on Father Collins' account, Magellan and his men went to Cebu on April 7, 1521. But in the monument inscription, the first mass was held on April 8, 1521 on Butuan. How is it possible to go back to Butuan from Cebu just for one day? Wherein Butuan is 236 kilometers away from Cebu, and the ship of Magellan that time is not fast enough. And on that day of the mass, a cross was erected on the summit of a mountain. And according to Francisco Albo, on the summit of the mountain, you can see that 3 islands from the west and southwest, wherein Butuan can be seen in northern direction. Based on the topographical details given by Albo Pigafetta, it describes the present Limasawa.
That's all. So we wish na may natutunan kayo. Bye!